Good morning, everyone, and welcome to ProutSpace. My name is Maya. I can see some familiar faces. And today I will be introducing the second session of the talk series about the 16 basic principles of Prout. First of all, can you all hear me well? If you can do me like this, just to be sure. Okay, thank you. And this is an initiative promoted by Proutist Universal. And the aim of these meetings is to gain a deeper understanding about Prout system. Today, we have one of our members, Rajesh Singh. He has been a Proutist activist for more than 30 years. And today he will talk about the first and second principle. And just before starting, I want to let you know that this meeting will last 1 hour, and we will give 20 minutes more or less after the presentation for questions. Also to remark that we are recording the session and will be uploaded on YouTube. So any information, you can recheck it later. So say that, I would like to give the word to Rajesh. Rajesh, thanks for coming when you want.
Namaskar to everyone, and without taking any time, let's start. And as I also see the familiar faces, those who are very much familiar with the Prout philosophy, but just as we are putting things on record, uh, just a few quick reminders. Prout has 5 letters: P-R-O-U-T. P-R-O stands for progressive, U for utilization, T for theory. This is whole progressive utilization theory, which was given by Sri Prabhat Ranjan Sarkar in 1959 in India. And this is in a form of 16 sutras, principles, which is in Sanskrit. All the 16 sutras are in Sanskrit, which is the part of a very small book, Anand Sutram. The fifth chapter deals with all these 16 sutras. And out of these 16 sutras, first to 8, these sutras deal with social laws. What are the possibilities in a society, how a society moves, what are the chances, permutations and combinations or probabilities of taking various kind of system or the classes taking place in the society. So all these 8 laws deal with the social cycle, social laws. Principles 9th, 10 and 11, these 3 principles are economic laws. These 3 deal with the economic principles of Prout, economic the how Prout is different in terms of economic terminology or economic system or theory or the principle, how it is different. So all these part in 9th, 10th and 11th. And as we all know, 12 to 16, these 5 principles are fundamental principles of Prout. So today we are going to discuss the first and second sutra. And as I said, all the sutras basically they are in Sanskrit. It's a very old language in India, and the entire old literature like Vedas, Purana, Upanishad, everything is written in this language, Sanskrit language. But unfortunately, this is not right now prevalent in India. Even we speak our mother tongue, which is Hindi right now, or more use of English. But Sanskrit is somewhere lost. So we have to establish the lost glory of Sanskrit, but that's a separate issue. So first principle of Prout is वर्ण pradhanata chakradharayam, and it translates into English: in the flow of social cycle, a class is always dominant. So what is Varna? As I said, the sutras are in Sanskrit. Varna is also a Sanskrit word. The Varna means color. But here, this Varna refers to a social class, a social class with its own predominant psychic potentialities or characteristics. And what are these Varnas or the social class? These Varnas or the class are Sudras, or we can say in English, the toiling class, Kshatriya, the warrior class, the Vipras, the intellectual class, and the Vaisyas, the capitalists, the traders, the merchants, or those who are in the business. So this Vaisya class to the that business community. And in the time of flow of cycle, one class is dominant at a time, this sutra says. But before coming to the what sutra exactly says, let us try to understand what are these varnas or the social classes are. As I said, that it these classes has some predominant psychic characteristics. So how we can differ, or we can analyze that who is Sudra and who is warrior class, or who is the Vipra or the intellectual class and the trader classes. So Sudras are predominantly, they are just living for their survival. They do everything just for the sake of their survival or to exist themselves and to gain enjoyment from the materialistic things. Their life has no any utility value or some any broader idea, or they are useful to the society, or they have to work for the society, they have to think something for the betterment of the masses or something like that. They are just away from all these ideas or the thoughts. They just think about their survival, how they will survive, and to get some materialistic pleasure from the matter oriented things. So we can say the Sudra class people or the toiling class people are guided by the matter. The matter oriented waves control their mind. So they are unable to think beyond anything other than their self enjoyment and their existence. And when it's an individual person, we can call it a Sudra. And when it's in collectivity, it's a Sudra society or the Sudra psychology. And here just I let me remind everyone that this is not the race. We the classes I am talking about, or the Prout talks about, this Shudra, Kshatriyas, Vipras and Vaisyas, these are not the race. These are the class which is prevalent in any of the caste, any of the community, any of the race, or any of the nationality. Everywhere you can find people with these psychologies. As I said, the Sudras, they are guided by their personal existence and to get some pleasure from the materialistic things. And that's why they are guided by the tamoguni forces. Again, tamoguni is a Sanskrit word for static. So they are guided by the static forces, and their mind become dark with the same tamoguni vibes and the vibrations, and hence this varna is represented by the color black. So varn means color, and Sudra's color is black. Another word came, Kshatriyas. So who are Kshatriyas? What are their qualities? How they are different from the Shudras? So Kshatriyas are basically the courageous people, the people who are not afraid of doing anything. They feel that they have the courage and might to fight with the odds, with the enemies, with the odd situations. They have a willingness to conquer the enemies or any kind of problems. So the people guided by such kind of potentialities, or the people with such kind of characteristic, those who believe in the physical force, physical might, the courage, and they control over the matter. Even they enjoy the materialistic things, but they are not guided by the matter, or their mind is not controlled by the matter centric vibrations. Rather, they control the vibrations of matter, they enjoy it, but they are not get dominated by the matter. So they dominate, and as they are powerful people, they are courageous people, they overpower others. So this characteristic is called the warrior class, or the kshatriyas. And as their vibration or the characteristic is mutative in nature, their color is blood red or red. Third one is Vipras. Who are the Vipras? Vipras are the intellectual people. These intellectual people, they don't have that courage. They might have not courage to fight enemies to face to face head on, but they have tremendous psychic potentialities. They have uh, ideas, they have some new ideas to tackle their problems, to find out the solutions of existing problems. They foresee the future. Sudras, they just live in the present. Warrior class people, they live in present and they just think about the past. Who are their forefathers, what their previous history, how much glorious their past is, who are the past enemies whom we have to fight, we have to take revenge, and this kind of thing. But Vipras live in present, think about past, and they think about future as well. So, and for the futuristic ideas, for a betterment, to how to control others by the psychic power, the psychic potentialities. So they think in every direction. So their mind accumulates this static, this mutative colors and everything. That's why their color is represented by the color white. And the fourth one is Vaishyas, or the traders community, or the capitalists. As predominantly in the society, Sudra class was there, the toiling class, those who were just living for the sake of their survival. Again, the warrior class, they have might, they have the courage, they have the domination over the society with their courage and might. Again, the Vipra class, the intellectuals, they influenced the society with their intellect, they overpowered the society with their intellect. But these people were neither mighty nor too intellect, but then they started dealing with the worldly things, the worldly affairs, what is called right now, it's business, trade. And gradually, business was always related with the money, wealth, and everything. So gradually, they became so powerful in the society that after a certain point of time, they became powerful, they were dominating the society. And as their mind was full of mutative forces, mutative things, like they try to hold the physical materialistic positions. I have this building, I have this castle, I own this much wealth, I own this much of money. But there is a basic difference between the warrior class and the trader class, that warrior class people, they have the materialistic thing, but they enjoy it, they enjoy the things. But in this Vaishya community, or the Vaishya psychology, they are happy getting pleasure from being the things with them. They have this thing, they have that thing, they have the castle, they have the Lamborghini, they have this Ferrari, this yacht, and everything. So they are happy with all these things. And as they have the same materialistic feelings, so it guides them towards the mutative side. And to obtain their objectives, they least bother about the moral values and anything human values or humanity. If they want to earn money, they want profit, they can go up to any extent. So in that way, their mind is static. So their mind or is a amalgamation of this mutative and static forces, which static is black and mutative is represented by red. So the amalgamation of both is yellow color, and Vaishyas are represented by the color or the Varna, which is the first word of the principle, Varna Pradhanta. So Varna is yellow color. So I'm just repeating all those things. Sudra psychology, it's not a race, it's not a nationality, it's a people with certain psychic characteristics that is represented by static vibrations and represented by the color black. Warrior class or the Kshatriyas, they have mutative vibrations, and this mutative vibration is represented by color red. Vipra class, that the intellectual class, their mind dwells in every direction, every arena, static, mutative, sentient. So that is the amalgamation of all kind of vibration that is represented by white. And the trader community or the capitalists, they are the amalgamation of static and mutative. Black and red culminates into the yellow color. So again, I'm coming back to the principle. Varna means a class. So Pradhanta means dominance. Chakradharaya means is a social cycle. So the sutras goes in the flow of social cycle, a class is always dominant, and the class, we have the four class: Sudras, Kshatriya, Vipras, and the Vaishyas. Means the toiling class, the warrior class, the intellectuals, and the traders or the capitalists. And as I said, these are not the race. In every race, we can find these kind of people, or predominantly this kind of psychology we can find. If they are Aryans, even in Aryans, you can find Sudras, Vipras, Kshatriya, and Vaishyas. Even they are Austric, Negro, or Mongolian, which are the predominantly four races are in the world right now: Aryans, Austrics, and the Mongol, and the Negroes. So in every race, you will find people with these four predominant psychologies. And the sutra says that in the flow of social cycle, this human life or the human society has its own flow. It's going on since not time immemorial, but 1 million year back. Why I'm saying 1 million year back, I will come to that also. So in the flow of this social cycle of human society, one class dominates, he prevails, that prevails, and rest, it goes on. The class which is dominant or prevailing, they become exploiter, and later on, due to some kind of class and cohesion or the awareness, that class uh, unable to rule, another class takes place, and this is going on and on and on. And in this way, one class dominates the social cycle of human society. In the books like One Human Society, uh, Cradle of Civilization, Rad, in many places, the Prout propounder has said that the first human being was born on the planet Earth 1 million years back. And as we all know that, even we just visualize 1 million years back how the earth was. Probably it was full of jungles with the mighty creatures, gigantic carnivorous creatures, venomous reptiles, and everything. And it was too difficult to survive. And at that time, when the first human being arrived on this earth, obviously he was not like that what we are today. The scientists, those who deal in the science which is called paleoanthropology, they named them Australopithecine. The primitive human beings, the first human beings, the first generation of the human beings were called Australopithecine. This Australopithecine diverted into two branches. One was the chimpanzee, and the second one was the human being or human race. Again, this human race, what is called Homo sapiens right now. This was not the natural evolution from Australopithecine to the Homo sapiens. In between, there was another branch or race or our evolution or the generation that was called or named by the scientists, the same paleoanthropologist, that it's Homo erectus. Australopithecine, then Homo erectus, and finally we evolved to the generation which we are, or some 5,000 years back, that is called Homo sapiens. So if we need not too much of knowledge or information, if we just visualize or get a bit analyzed, so out of this 1 million year of human existence, barring 15 or 20,000 years, we lived as Sudras, the toiling class. We just thinking for the survival. There was nothing like that, the friction, fire from the friction, not the facilities of fire, the vehicles, the wheels, and the how to this agriculture. Nothing was there. Just we were surviving on the things provided by the nature, whether it's fruits or killing the animals or eating them. Just we were surviving, and only the survival was matter. So almost barring 15-20,000 years, my observation is the human society lived like a Sudra, toiling class, just for the sake of survival. Survival was important. But gradually some sense developed, and they thought or they realized that it's better to live in collectivity rather than in isolation. We have the better chances of survival. If we are living together, if we have a group, we have more people, we have better opportunity of survival. So this psychology, this mindset paved way for the Kshatriya psychology. Means the people of a person of that particular group who was courageous, who was mighty, who was not afraid of the things, who was ready to take challenges, to protect his people, to protect his clan or the race or the tribe, whatever we can the word use. So he was like hero to that community or to the tribe, and this gradually evolved into the Kshatriya Yug or the Kshatriya age or the warrior age. People started worshipping because they were saved by the courage of that particular person or the group of persons. So this paves the way for the Kshatriya age. Again, they ruled for a long time, Kshatriyas, the warrior class. After that, any evolution doesn't takes place overnight. From Australopithecine to Homo sapiens, it took almost a million years. The same way, from Sudra society or the toiling society to us warrior age, we didn't come over to the overnight. It takes some time. The psychology didn't change overnight. So, in a gradual process, we came from Sudra age to the Kshatriya age. After that, people as willing to overpower the materialistic things, those who were kings, those who were monarchs, they were willing to uh, need more states or the countries to rule. So it gave the space to thinking. They started thinking how to win more and more states or the countries, how to make our lives more comfortable, how to overpower others, and this gave the way for this psychic orientation. Warrior class people were so depending more on their physical might, their courage, but the Vipra class or the intellect class, they depend more on their intellect, the psychic fibula, the psychic characteristics. And this, and on the basis of their psychic powers, their psychic knowledge, information, they, after a time frame, they started overpowering the Kshatriya or the warrior class people. And even in every society, you will find up to a certain age, kings or monarchs were ruling on the basis of their might. But later on, especially in the medieval period, when the church was influential, when the Islam was prevalent, and this priest class in every religion, whether it church, Christianity, or the Islam or other religions, everywhere there is a concept of the priest class. So these priest class people or the ministers, those who were guiding their monarchs, behind the curtain, virtually they were operating the entire scene or the show. Face was king was the face, queen may be there, but it was that intellectual class which was ruling behind the curtain or under the face of the king or the queen. Pope or the padris, they were too influential, they were influencing the society. They have their own theory, as they were not the mighty people, courageous people, they are unwilling to take head on fights. So they have their own cunning designs. And what they did, they planted or wrote numerous stories: hell and heaven, vice and virtues, god, and the priest class is superior to other class. So it was all a shrewd motive or design to rule the society, as they were afraid of a head on collision. They are afraid of one to one fight. So these were the designs to overpower the people, and gradually people got convinced that yes, they are more powerful to us because they are connected with the god. They have what god has said to us, it has came to us through this priest class. These ministers, they are so knowledgeable, so informative, they know how to fight, whom to fight. So they have gradually gained a domination, and this intellectual domination ultimately was the Vipra age, the age of the intellect. And finally, as we have a natural fascination for the materialistic things, for the money and wealth. So gradually in the society, those who were dealing in the worldly things, those who were have the wealth and money, those who were operating the businesses, the big businesses and the trades, everything. So gradually they were became dominant. They were paying money to the warrior class to protect them. They were paying to the intellectual people to write new theories, new ideas, new business ideas to them. So again, they also become subservient to the trader class or the capitalists. So in this way, the Vipra class was replaced by the Vaishyan class or the Vaishyan people or the capitalist people, which gives the way to the this Vaishyan era or the Vaishyan age. So what Sri Sarkar says in the first philosophy, in the flow of social cycle, a class is always dominant. For the bigger part of human society, we lived like Sudras only, just for the sake, we were living for the sake of survival. There was nothing, no scientific developments, no intellectual, no psychic elevation or something. Then came the warrior class, they ruled us, followed by the intellectual people, whether they were ministers or the priests. And that is finally, it is followed by the Vaishyan era or the Vaishyan age or the capitalist age. But it is not that across globe this was happening in the same time. I think this is not the thing. If the Europe was developing in the sorry, probably was in the intellectual era, might the Africa was under the Kshatriya age, under the dictators, under the rulers or the monarchs or everything. And even my own assessment is that after 70-60, after the industrial revolution, when capitalism gained dominance, the entire world is dominated by the capitalism or the Vaishyan era. But we can take an example. You are free to disagree with me, but uh, take the example of North Korea. It is governed by the dictator Kim Jong Un. So we can't say that the entire globe is or has the Vaishyan era. We are passing through the Vaishyan age. But for North Korea, we can't say that they are in the Vaishyan age. They might still in the Kshatriya era, the warrior class, because they are ruled by the dictator. There is no scope for the scientists or the intellectual people or the this trader community or the capitalists. It is purely on the whims and fancies of one person who is the dictator over there. So they might still in the Kshatriya era or the warrior age, and we are in the Vaishyan era. And this is the sequence. This sequence never breaks. One thing which Prout propounder emphasized, that Sudra followed by the warrior class, followed by the intellectual people, and finally the this trader community or the capitalists. In this capitalist era, the exploitation is the maximum because they exploit warrior class. Sudras are already Sudras, they are toiling class, they are already been exploited. But the mighty people were also exploited. The intellectual people, they are also exploited by the capitalists. And for example, you can just see a person who is CEO or MD in some big company. He has a very fat salary. He is getting millions of dollars in salary. But what the life he has or she has, which kind of life they are living? They don't have the time for their family, for their own things. They have the money, ample of money. They whatever they wish to buy or they wish to move anywhere in across globe, they can, but they don't have the time. Even their bosses, those who are the actual company heads, the chairmans or something, they can dictate them in the night. So we need this presentation, so you have to do it. So this is the thing, everyone is exploited. It's not only the monetary exploitation, but in terms of psychic exploitation. You have the money, but you don't have any life. You don't know what is the meaning of your life, why you have born. You have just born for the sake of some money, for the sake of some castle or a big house or bungalow. Is it? They don't have time to think over all these things. So the exploitation is maximum in the Vaishyan era. And when the Vaishyan exploitation reached to crescendo, the maximum, then there is an awareness and people revolt against this system, which a particular terminology has been used by Prout propounders, that is Shudra Vipla. The people, those who are annoyed, or the proper word is Vikshubd Sudra, those who are totally against the system, they are willing to fight. And again, they fight, that is the Sudra Vipla. And after this Sudra Vipla, again the age changes from Vaishyan era. We don't come to the Shudra era, because Shudra is the people with the Shudran psychology or the toiling class psychology, but they never rule. Here we have to remember that Shudra class never rule. It's always the three class which rules, which is the warrior class, intellectual class, and the trader or the capitalist. And after the capitalist or the Vaishyan era, we have a Shudra Vipla or a revolution. And after this revolution, as this revolution is led by the courageous people, the mighty people, those who are not afraid, they have the potentials or the characteristic of the warrior class. Again, after this Sudra revolution, society comes to the Kshatriya era or the warrior age. And again, it's keep on going. The warrior class, warrior age, again, after a long period of time, it will be superseded by the intellectual class, followed by the Vaishyan class, and this is going on and on and on. And this is the exactly the sutra is. In the flow of social cycle, a class is always dominant. One class will be dominant, whether it's warrior, intellectual, or the Vaishyan, or the traders, or the capitalists. So this is the first sutra. And I will take the questions in the latter part. Just second sutra, let me come to the second one. That is Chakra Kendre Sadvipra Chakra Niyantraka. In the nucleus of the social cycle, Sadvipras control the cycle to liberate all. Again, this is a new word, new concept. This is the Sadvipra. Who are the Sadvipras? First, try to understand who are the Sadvipras. Sadvipras are the staunch moralists. Sadvipras are the sincere spiritualist people, those who are against any kind of exploitation by anyone. They have the courage, they have the potential, they have the mindset to fight against any kind of exploitation, whether this is this exploitation by the warrior class or the intellectual class or the trader or the capitalist class. They are adamant in the yama and niyama. What are the yama and niyama? We all are aware. So the people with all these, and the further says, he says that a person with the Shudra psychology, the warrior class psychology, the intellect, and with the capitalist mindset, a person who possesses all the potentials and the qualities of all four classes, he will be denoted or known or recognized as the Sadvipras. And what these Sadvipras do? These Sadvipras will never be directly into the rule. They will never rule the society directly, but they will be in the center nucleus of the social cycle. They will not the mute spectators, rather they will be the active witness to the entire process. And when this ruling class becomes exploitative, rather than the general welfare of the people, social welfare, if they indulge into the exploitation of the masses, this Sadvipra people will create an awareness into the society to overthrow the exploitative class. And for this struggle or the revolution, if the force is required, they are not afraid of yeah, the utilization of the force as well. So they will replace one exploitative class to the another. But most likely, even in the Sadvipra era or the Sadvipra age, the class will rotate in the same fashion: the warrior class, the intellectual class, and the trader or the capitalist class. So Sadvipras will not the witnessing entity, rather they were their active witness, and they were monitor the entire society. And whenever the ruling class becomes exploitative, they will wage a war against them to replace with a new age, so that people are not get exploited, and they have better life, they have better living standards. So this is the two sutras, first and second. And if there are any queries, so I will love to take that.
Well, thank you, Rajesh. To me, it's very interesting. Once you read, you understand the social class cycle and the psychology behind all these classes. It's very interesting to analyze the news, the events that are happening now, no? Because it gives you a different perspective and different understanding. Yes, I don't know if someone has a question. Okay, we have a question that says, does it mean that exploitation, okay, sorry, always exists in any social cycle?
Till yes, up to certain degree, or degree of the exploitation may vary from the era age to age. But as we know, there are very good monarchs as well, but at the same time we have very uh, autocrat or dictator type of monarchs, those who exploited their society. So it's a degree of exploitation that may exist, like the vice and virtue. If never it is going to happen that everything will be virtuous, or the society will be infected by the vices only. There will be only the vice. This is not going to happen. At a certain degree, that will exist. In spiritual terms, it is called Vidya Maya and Avidya Maya. Two things are there. So one can prevail. So the good people, the Sadvipras, when they will prevail, the chances of exploitation will be minimized or the negligible. And might in future, when people have this spiritual orientation, if they have better spiritual analysis and the experiences, they might not indulge into the exploitation. But for a certain degree, because we can't everyone be cannot be a very good devotee, a devotee up to that higher level. There will be a degree variation of the devotion, degree of the devotion. So that might exist, but in near future, when we study about the philosophy given by Sri Sarkar, that is neo-humanist, probably in the neo-humanistic era or the society which is ruled by the neo-humanistic ideas, the chances of exploitation will be either minimized or might negligible or might not exist also. So we should be more hopeful that exploitation will not exist.
Mhm. Okay, we also have another question. Sarah, Sarah Devi, if you want to talk directly, it's up to you. But she's asking you, why during Bayesian, I don't know how to pronounce, age, the exploitation is in its maximum?
Reason being, they deal in money, wealth, and everything. The trader community. We think that the wealth on the globe is unlimited, but virtually it's not unlimited. Every country has their limitation to print or mint the money. They can't mint money or print money more than a certain level. They have their own, either it's economic compulsion or whatever. But there is a compulsion. You can't print money like anything that, and if you print money like anything, what will happen? The situation like Venezuela can occur. When the inflation is so high, the money will be so devalued that you were unable to, for purchasing a bread, you might have to pay some million, whatever the currency is, lira or whatever. So this unlimited, the wealth which is on the entire globe, which is not unlimited, but it looks or seems unlimited, but it's limited. This limited wealth comes into the hands of limited people, and that's the reason other people have the scarcity. They have to suffer. Let me give just three data to you. Let me share. First, World Bank says that 3 billion people, 3 billion people live under $1.25. $1.25. So they are living in extreme poverty. This is the data by the World Bank. Another one, 5 individuals in world, I will not name them, we all know, their collective wealth is $800 billion. 5 persons, $800 billion. And you can think many countries don't have that budget, that GDP of 800 billion, when 5 persons command this 800 billions. And last data, 3381, 3381 person, which is the richest or the global billionaires right now. The number is 3381, and their collective wealth is whopping 15 trillion. So only 3,300 people possess 15 trillion. So what will happen? Rest are compelled to suffer. Exploitation will be there. If handful of people, another, let me share the Oxfam data. 1% people, 1%'s wealth is double to the wealth of remaining 99% people on the globe. So people are bound to suffer. They are compelled because this limited money wealth is in the limited hands. And the worst part is that money is not part of the economy. So that makes life more struggleful or the exploitative or the problematic. So this is the reason that in the Vaishyan era, uh, exploitation is the maximum. This is the reason, as the wealth is in the very limited hands. Only Sharda Didi has questions. No one is asking.
Okay. No, I don't have any question, but one thing that I was thinking, no, that it's very interesting to study the history through this perspective, in the way that if there is always the same cycle, even if there is evolution and we never get back to the same stage, it's interesting to see how is the psychology of the next dominant society, no? Because in that way, when new proposals are coming, a new era it's arriving, then you can establish from the beginning these limitations from the next dominant sector, no? And yes, I think it will be very interesting to study, okay, what is coming now, no? If we are in this era, what is the next? That in this sequence, I guess, in my region, I guess that is coming this warrior era. So how to limit their power or their capacity of exploiting others, yes. Okay. Another question. I'm also interested. What do you think when the next Sudra Viplava might happen again?
Uh, my analysis is we are just on the threshold. We are on the threshold of Sudra Viplav, Sudra Revolution. We are. If we, the Prout cadres, are ready enough to take the mantle, if we are ready to take the responsibility, Sudra Revolution will take, rather than later, it will be more sooner. The moment we are ready, Sudra Viplav will take place. But again, on all the practicalities and the probabilities, we are just on the threshold of Shudra revolution, and it is bound to happen. It is not going to take a very long time. And my assessment is we are going to witness it in our lifetime. We will witness from one era to another era. We will surely witness it. I'm strongly hopeful. And the just reason is very simple. At this capitalistic exploitation is at its peak. So, and Sri Sarkar's philosophy says, when the capitalistic exploitation is at maximum, it gives space or it compels for the Sudra revolution. So that's the reason I'm saying that we are on the threshold of Sudra revolution. So,
Well, I
no
think...
questions. So,
May I ask?
Please.
Please, Govinda, yeah.
May I ask, do you feel that there is sufficient exposure of the Sadvipras or the those who will tipple this exploitation in the world today to create a mass movement? Or do you think that mass movement is an automatic thing? That, in other words, in 1917, the Russian Revolution was arguably created by a class of politicians, and they arouse the masses to revolt. Do you see that similar potential within a group of Sadvipras or Acharyas or Margis at the present moment? Because you seem to say that this is an inevitable event. So what will what needs to pre-exist to create this momentum of this great force that will be needed to overcome the Vaishyas?
It's
or
too
the
difficult
dominant Vaishyas?
to it's too difficult to brand or recognize someone as Sadvipra. It's a very tricky part. So I will not say that who is Sadvipra. Do we have a pool of Sadvipras or not? I will not comment on that part. But my assessment and firm belief is this Sudra revolution will be led by the righteous people, which will give place to the neo-humanistic society only. This time, no some mass movement by the grabbed by the political leaders for their own benefits or their shrewd motives, and this is not going to happen. This is, I'm confident. This may be my personal view, but I'm damn confident that this Sudra revolution or the disgruntled intellectuals or the mass movement which will take place will certainly be led by the righteous people, and which will establish a neo-humanistic society, which will be a society free from the exploitation. Some degree it may be, because we have our own inherent characteristics of exploiting others, getting others money or something. But by and large, it will be a exploitation free society. And in the process, Sadvipras emerge and they are in the nucleus. So the chances of exploitation will be literally either minimized or the neutralized. So that's my idea, and you can differ with me.
I guess it's the question is, how do we create that awareness, or do you feel that that awareness is part and parcel of the subtlety of the spiral of the social cycle? Because my understanding is that that domination, the domination of each particular varna, is becoming more and more subtle as time goes on, even though the domination might be vast, it is more sophisticated. So how to create an even more sophisticated mind that will be able to manipulate the manipulators, if you like. Do you get my point?
Voice is not a bit clear. That's
Oh, I'm sorry.
voice is not voice is
So
not
how?
properly.
Can I maybe?
Okay, I'm sorry.
Okay, maybe I will try to
Explain.
to
Yeah,
transmit
please.
your question, Govinda, but I'm not sure. I
Yeah.
could not hear you well at all. But you were talking, no, that under a more sophisticated system of controlling that maybe is not so direct and so obvious. That the question is, how can we be aware? Is that right, Govinda? You were asking this, or?
I was asking, in a more sophisticated form of exploitation, which we seem to have now, in the form of Vaishyas, or in the form of the 1% who own all the wealth. How do we become even more sophisticated and raise the awareness of that to
Can you write it down the
mass of
question,
people?
please? Can you write it down
Okay.
write down the question?
In the chat.
Yes,
Okay.
perfect.
And in between, I'm taking another question, which is in writing that usually when we talk about the anti-Western sentiment is aimed at the US superpower. Can you comment on the modes of Western exploitation in former communist superpowers? So first and foremost is capitalism and communism both have the centralized economic system. Contrary to the Prout, Prout believes in the decentralized economy. But in China and USSR or the present day Russia, it's a state capitalism. Now they are also the part of World Trade Organization and the IMF and the World Bank and everything. But just 20-30 years back, they have the state capitalism. State was the operating everything. In China, again, even there are private players or the individual capitalists or whatever we can say, but again they are mostly under the control of Chinese regime. They are unable to do or going against the policies of the government. So, and when we say the Western or the capitalist exploitation, it doesn't mean the exploitation of the US capitalists only. Capitalists anywhere. If I remember properly, there is a quote by Martin Luther King Jr. He says that injustice anywhere is a threat to justice everywhere. So when we talk about the Western exploitation, it doesn't mean that US. It doesn't mean that the G20, G7 countries. It doesn't mean the G20 countries. It means those who have that psychology, those who are suffering from that psychology, those who are with that greed of money, those who least bother about the human values or the human life. So it's about everyone. It's not about the US capitalists only. So if you think or if you feel that it is only directed to the US capitalists, or it's not there. And as per China and Russia is concerned, this is state capitalist, but state capitalism, but capitalism in any form. Rather, Prout propounder has said that communism is worst form of governance or the economic system in comparison to anyone. He says that if capitalism makes people beggar, this communistic system makes people beast. So that's we don't discriminate that between the capitalist of US or somewhere else. Exploitation is a exploitation, and we have to condemn in neutral terms. We can't be partial to anyone. If we are partial or impartial to the capitalists of India, so how we can claim that we are the righteous people? How we can claim that we are the moralists? Our exploiters are good and your exploiters are bad. It doesn't make any sense. Exploiter is an exploiter.
Okay.
So can we wind up for today, because I have another class. Just people are waiting downstairs.
Okay.
I have another session.
It was left only the Govinda's question,
yes.
But if you write to me, Govinda, next day we can.
Yeah, you can forward it to me, and I will reply in person to you, and that will be forwarded to him.
Okay, perfect. So to conclude, okay, I got his question. I will send it to you, and also to mention that Dieter shared with us Evolution of Society, a PDF, if someone wants to download. And just before finishing, thank you very much, Rajesh, for being with us today. And just to remind you that we will keep on going with this session, and the next one will be on 16th of April. And
yes, 16th of April, and on 16th of April we will take the 6 social sutras, 3, 4, 5th, 6th, 7th and 8th, 6 sutras.
Okay.
In one session. Yeah.
Great. So thank you all for coming, and see you the next session. Thank you, Rajesh.
Thank you, Rajesh. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you. Namaskar.
Thank you.
Govinda, can you hear me? Govinda, are you there?
Hello, people.
Hello. Yes. Oh, wow. I cannot hear you very well, but if you write me your email in the chat, I will send you the answer from Rajesh. I don't know if you can hear me. I will write you. Did you get what I
Okay,
said?
write me.
Oh, yeah, super.
Some of. It's breaking up.
Yes, we can create to implement the change. Wow, your question, I feel that it was super interesting, and probably we will need a full day to analyze what are the best tools. Okay. Sorry, if you want, also you can just say me your email.
Yeah. My iPad is not working properly.
I don't know.
Even I can't type.
I didn't get it. Anyway, if you are in the contact list of ProutSpace Universal, I can ask Mahesh Vada.
Yeah.
Okay, super, great.
Yeah.
So thank you very much.
Yeah. So
Namaskar.
the day we will know mine.
Oh, what? Sorry.
Thank you.
Namaskar. You're welcome. Namaskar.
Saturday day we will have my email.
Okay. Okay, great. Bye.